Hello everyone, today I've got another vintage locomotive to have a look at. It's from Rivarossi. It is an SM626, which is an Italian electric locomotive.
The model here today looks to be a Rivarossi SM626 series, made in 1950. It came in unpainted Bakelite plastic, so you'll see this has been painted blue at some point in the past.
I recently did a video of another Rivarossi model. It was an Italian 424 electric locomotive, and the model was made in 1956, I think. This one is even older, so it's quite a vintage item, and I'm quite looking forward to having a look at it. So let's see what we've got inside this box. So the top lifts off. It's in pretty bad condition, but this model is much older than I am. So one thing to note as I take this out is it is really heavy. Straight away you can see that this is quite a crude model by today's standards. It's all made in metal, there's a lot of movement going on in the bogies here, and it's quite a crude construction, but it is indicative of the time when it was made. The paintwork is a bit blotchy down the side. I'm not sure whether this has been repainted or not, and here it looks like it's maybe got a crack or something in the model, which is a real shame. Down this end of the locomotive you can see the number 626393. On this side it's got a wire handrail and another two wire handrails leading down to the ground, and on top you've got a representation of these pantographs. They're quite crude by modern standards, but they are spring-loaded. I guess these could be wired for overhead pickup as well. It's good that they still work though, and they are quite robust. And other than that, there's not a huge amount of detail on the top here. There's some tanks here painted in red, and the roof is silver. So underneath you can see the mechanism, big gear wheel here in the middle. It looks like the middle is driven and the two outer bogies are just for pickup. So there is a bit of dirt on these wheels. I'm not sure how well it's going to run, but we'll give it a try and see what happens. So once again, my co-star, the H&M controller, which is older than I am, is making an appearance. We're going to use this to see if we can get this model to work. Let's see how we go. Okay, we're all set up and the H&M is switched on. So one thing to note, this is modern day Hornby track that I'm using here. I'm not sure how well the flanges on this locomotive will deal with that. Let's see what happens when we turn the power on. So fantastic news, it worked perfectly straight away. That's quite a surprise. I'm really happy with that. Let's open this up and have a look inside and see what the mechanism's like. So one of the things I did notice as it was running up and down the track there is that it has a wire handrail on the nose on this side, but it is missing on all other three sides. So we'll see if we can maybe fit some new ones when we take this apart. You can see on this side of the locomotive there's two screws here. I don't think these take apart the locomotive, I think they're actually part of the motor. I think we need to concentrate on these screws here and here. Okay, so it looks like the front part is separate to the rest of it. Also had to take off the handrail to get this piece out as well. Okay, so when I took that apart, this piece of glazing fell out, and it does look like the glazing in here has perished quite a bit. Okay, so we've got the top off now, and both end parts have come off as well. And also this weight here fell out as well. This looks like it's been added in afterwards. It's just one strip of lead which has been squashed together. Remember to wash your hands if you ever find a piece of lead like this. And here's the mechanism itself. It's quite a crude one. The motor's inside here. It has this strap around it, and the pickups move on the bogies like this. It has fake lights here. There's no bulbs or anything on this, so it doesn't have any lighting. So let's see if we can fix the handrails first. So this one here can be our model. It seems to be okay. You'll see it doesn't go all the way through to the inside, so it's probably just fixed in with some glue in here. So I'm going to make these handrails out of just household 30 amp fuse wire. Okay, so all I need to do is just measure this against here and bend the ends and then snip it and then see if we can fit one. So if we make a first bend about here to 90 degrees, put it against the model, and I can see that we need to make another one around about here. So that looks not too bad, but I think we've done it a little bit too much, so I'm just going to bend another little bit. Okay, so that looks about right, and we're going to fit it into these holes. It doesn't go in that far into here. I could see why this would come away quite easily. Okay, so we just need to cut off the excess. Okay, so there we've got our replacement part. I think that's quite good. Let's see how it fits into here. You can see that this one here has a bit of a slope to it, so it's closer cut at the front. So I'm just going to take a little bit off this bit. So I think that looks pretty good. So just another two more to go. So here's the three parts we've just made. I'm going to use some super glue. Don't apply this to the model. Apply it to a piece of paper, and we'll apply it to the model from there. Okay, so we've got the handrails fitted now. While that's drying, I'm going to glue these weights back in. I'm not sure if they came from the factory. I kind of don't think they do, but there couldn't be any harm in having these in here. So I'm just going to add a bit of super glue onto the model, and I'm going to break my golden rule by just applying it directly. So I've washed my hands now after touching the lead, and I've let the glue dry. It's now time to get this model back together. So we'll start off by sliding the body onto the chassis, and there's nothing that particularly holding that in at the moment. It's just free to move around. So we'll need to get the screws in the bottom here. So we're almost finished with this now. All we need to do is put on these handrails. You just hook underneath the chassis. So here we are with the locomotive all back together. Those handrails were a bit fiddly, but I got there in the end. So it's ready to be used again on the layout. So let's see how much this weighs. So this locomotive weighs 608 grams. So what are my thoughts on this model? It is very old now. It's definitely classified as being a vintage model, but it runs actually really smoothly. When I tried it straight out the box, I think with a bit of a clean up on the wheels, it would run even better. Quite amazing considering the age. The detail on this is quite crude, but it does have that kind of vintage charm to it, which I really like. So it's a great model to have in your collection if you're interested in Italian locomotives or just want some interesting vintage items. So I'll put this on the turntable so you can see all the way around. But if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, and you can subscribe for more like this. But that's it for today. Thanks for watching. See ya.